Yes, here we are. Holy, holy. We are in some magic right now. Welcome, everyone, to Sunday's Dharma Talk with Kenlin. It is the super new moon in Pisces on February 19th. So just welcoming all of you. I'm going to take a minute for everybody to come in and find me. I hope you've been finding me. I hope you've been finding these lives. Some people ask me, where are the lives? Well, it looks like you go to my YouTube channel and you have to click the button live. And then under that button is all the live streams and all the replays from every Sunday's Dharma Talk. So I hope you can find them all because these activations are actually timeless. Yes, we are acknowledging the potency of a particular time. Like today, we are going into a super new moon in Pisces. And there's a lot going on. And also the teachings are timeless. So whenever you encounter them, that's when you're supposed to encounter them. So it's just saying hello to whoever's jumping on. Put it a little emoji. How are you feeling? What are you manifesting today? What are the seeds that you are planting today for this new earth, this new world that we're going into? You know, one word. How about one word? Put it into the chat. I'd love to see. I'd love to start curating our time together. I want to say a couple things. After this, we'll be walking the razor's edge. We're going to change the name on that, even though it is this really deep spiritual dive with our community. We're going to talk more about activations of these soul codes. We're going to actually start doing an activation. So in this one following, for members of the Evolving Sisters Network, we are actually going to do a new moon activation. I got the whole download for it, so I can't wait to share that with you. Myrna says alignment, and CJ says peace. Robin says calm. Okay, so that's telling me there's been a lot going on, right? We want like peace and calm. Yeah. Okay, well, let's presence everything that's been happening. Thank you for your shares, sisters. We're just waiting for some others to jump on. These are really big times, really huge pivots and shifts in our timeline. One of the things I received, and this message has been going around, but I want to presence it right here for this new moon, and that is that we are ascending in a body. We are ascending in a body. Just really take that in, because humanity has had to, in prior incarnations, we've had to extinct ourselves in order to ascend. There are ancient cultures that just disappeared. And scholars in rational thinking have no explanation. They have theories, but they have really no evidence or explanation on why these cultures disappeared. And there's always going to be some 3D thing, because we're in 3D. So there will be always some evidence of something in 3D, but there's also another timeline. And that timeline is that we are not just 3D. We live in multidimensional spaces. So these peoples just disappeared. And teachers have said that this is the first time that humanity has a chance to ascend in a body. We're doing it in a body. I know that's why I incarnated, because I like being in a body. I find it really grounding. And some of you, maybe that's the opposite, and you're used to flying, and part of your yoga is to work being in a body. But we get to do both now. We get to bring heaven on earth. And these are the codes that are streaming in, just like light is streaming in. You can see the light streaming in right now. These are the codes that we're receiving today on this super new moon in Pisces. So it's opening up these mystical doors. This is where we get to experience upgrades in our consciousness. And today we're going to create a roadmap We're going to not create, it's already there. We're going to acknowledge the roadmap of awakening. This is what Gene Key 55 is going to bring us today. It's going to be a deep teaching. It might be confronting in certain ways, but I guarantee you, if you stay the course, you will not lose power. My intention for you is to stay in your power and to hear things that get to be transformed through your awareness and then through your action. Loving to receive you, Katie, Vanessa. Welcome, sisters. All right, so let's dive into this super new moon. So we're going into a new portal. March promises to be with a lot of pivots, a lot of change happening. Change that we haven't seen in a very long time, because we're going, both Pluto and Saturn are going into new signs, which is really triggering the new world that we're stepping into. This super new moon is one of the access points. So this had to happen. And then we go into all the ways that our structures and our consciousness, our depth gets to transform. So the super new moon is giving us access to the very thing we need to go forward. So if the ground is shaky and unstable, what do you need? You need a connection with the divine. You need a solid connection with the divine, like pillars of light coming down into your crown and all the way down into your feet, anchoring your feet in Mother Earth. Just this column of light, imagining and picturing that column of light, even right now. Opening up your channels to the guides, ascended masters, devis, whatever it is, benevolent beings who are here to support you in this awakening. You know, there's going to be a terrifying aspect, and I say that in a beautiful way, like a terrifying aspect of our awakening, because it's the dissolution of the ego self. And that's what we're going to get into in this conversation. In Pisces, there isn't any. Pisces is oneness. Everything is one thing. So let's presence that everything is one thing, and that our separate self is terrified of that. It fears that it's going to lose something. It's going to lose its existence. That's what's at stake here. And it's only a thought. It's only a concept. It's only an idea. It's not real. So this moon that we're about to go into in, let's say, I think it's about 12 hours. So right now the moon is still in Aquarius. We're going to go into Pisces, and then the new moon is exact about an hour after the moon goes into Pisces. So for me, it's going to be more of a dream state, which is so perfect. If you're on a different time zone, you might be early morning. So it might be a good time if you're in Europe when you wake up to do a meditation. Even stay in the liminal space, like don't turn on lights, just stay in the liminal space, because that will give you more of an access to the spirit realm, to the multidimensional space. And because this is a super new moon, the moon is close to Earth. So we're really feeling the vibrations right now. We're feeling this, like Pam Gregory calls it, seismic activity. But it's not just like earthquake seismic. It can be seismic in consciousness. So let's really set our bar high. Let's play big, instead of saying, well, I hope I connect with the angels today. Yeah, that would be great. And what if we get to live in this field? What if we get to access the field, what I call the field of superabundance, the field of miracles, the field of serendipity, the field of the non-ordinary? That's what this gets to open up. Um, these new moons that we've been having. I think this is the fourth of 5 new moons in 1 degree of its sign. So we have a lot of initiations happening. And you're going to be able to live with this new moon frequency for the next 2.5 days, starting tonight, my time. So whatever in the morning, your time, if you're ahead of Pacific Standard Time. And then for 2.5 days, we're going to be in this new moon frequency. So it's a really good time to amplify your spiritual practice, to meditate, to chant, to practice lucid dreaming, and to set intentions on this connection with the unseen world. Whatever you want to call it, honestly. Every tradition has different names of what we want to call it, on who we want to give that power to: source, God, angels, devis. Those are just words that we get to use in language to support us in seeing that there's something beyond this 3-dimensional reality. And really, I don't know what their names are. Those are just names humans have given it to these beings. So connecting with something that's bigger than you. Like, even in the yogic tradition, we have multiple bodies. We have our physical gross body, and then we have multiple, it depends on whatever tradition, there's up to 10 bodies. And so those are our subtle bodies. Those are the bodies that are picking up information that live in the quantum field as we move through our day in 3D. So let's really presence that we want deeper access to the information from our subtle bodies to guide our lives here and now. So let's create the roadmap of, not create, like I said this twice, create. Let's acknowledge the roadmap. Let's presence the roadmap to awakening. Because Gene Key 55 is really the gene key of all gene keys. Every gene key is really inside of Gene Key 55. And that's where the sun is shining right now. And its programming partner is 59. And that is the partnership of dishonesty, the shadow of dishonesty, and the gift of intimacy, and the ultimate divine frequency of transparency. And I think that's really important to the transmission that we're going to receive today of Gene Key 55 and the shadow of being a victim, and the gift of freedom, and the city of freedom. It's the same. It's like binary in this case. It's right. Shadow is victimization. Gift is freedom. City is freedom. It's like this or that. Where are you going to live? And this is the roadmap to awakening. And it's the roadmap to our evolution, where humanity is going. So remember, I presenced waking up in a body, ascension in a body. This is what Gene Key 55 is all about. It's very, very dense. If you want to just kind of learn the whole entire thing of the gene keys, you can just read 55. It's all right there. It doesn't all have to do with 55, but it's all the philosophy and the teachings and the mysticism around the gene keys. And so I presence that because if you just want to read one thing, that would be one thing to read. 55 deals with our evolution. What is possible? It's the seed that we're planting today of who we get to be as our future selves. The future selves that already exist, our evolutionary selves. And as I said last week in 49, a lot's going to drop away. Like old codes. This is part of what we're going to do in our community call after this, is really release those old codes in our DNA. And anything that has those old codes, any person, any being in 3D that has those old codes will be destroyed. That's the promise of 55 in our evolution. We cannot take it with us. It's a huge leap. It's a quantum leap. It's, as I've said before in the 49, it's like life as we know it is transforming. And there's some really beautiful things that have come through people like Richard Rudd in the Gene Keys when he talks about the future of relationships. And that has to do with Gene Key 59. And evolution is starting with our relationships. And this is where we come back to the shadow and this map of evolution. So the biggest start point, or the start point on the map to evolution, is the awareness of our victim consciousness. How many know what I'm talking about? Like when you started on the spiritual path, you know, you may have started because you were in some deep, deep suffering. That's how most of us got activated. And we started to notice a couple things. We noticed some patterns. We noticed how much our heart hurt. We noticed maybe that we were in trauma. Like when I was waking up, the word trauma was not part of the conversation. Ah, Vanessa has both 55 and 59. Okay, this is for you. I'm a victim of my victim consciousness. Exactly, Katie. That's so well put. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so we have a lot of 55, 59s here. This is for all of us, and you have the particular gift of being able to bring these codes through your embodiment, through your life, through the way that they show up for you. So when we start on the path, we really get clear about our victimization. One of the things that I've shared this before, but the thing that supported me, I think it was like 1998, and I heard the pastor of Unity Church say in Boulder, Colorado, "There is nothing separately real." And I was like, "What?" You know, that was my awakening point right there. There's nothing separately real. That everything is my hologram. Everything is reflecting me. So the world as I saw it was the world with me with glasses on. It wasn't the world as it is, it's the world as I saw it. And so when we're on that path, we start to wake up to that. But the truth is, we're never done with that. It's always a thing to wake up to. So spiritual arrogance can come through and be like, "Oh, I'm done." Or this way that we want to protect ourselves in not having to see anything else, not having to do any more work, not having to be more exhausted doing more work. Like, no, I've already done that work. No, this is something about the matrix of the mind of humanity. And until that substrate, the neural net in our brain is shifted, which it entirely can and quite possibly will be. But that it's going to happen because you and me are doing this work right now. And that's the beauty of Gene Key 55, just saying like your work matters. Keep at it. It matters because as we wake up, we allow others to wake up and we actually trigger ascension of people manifesting the city, the highest frequency, as we raise our frequency. So it's a collective game. It's not just my own individual path. You, every person on here, as you awaken, you cause awakening for others. Really get that. Like your whole field causes awakening for others. So coming back to this concept of victimization, that's the map to see the ways in which we consider ourselves in 3D a victim to life. That's the only thing stopping you and me from freedom, from true freedom, from awakening. And what the Gene Key says is you don't even really want true freedom. You don't really even want it. You say you want it. I was talking to someone who is who has not experienced and remembered her awakened self. And I was talking to her and in a hospital room, and I asked her, "What do you really want?" And a long pause. And think about this for yourself. What do you really want? And she said, "Freedom." And I was like, "Great. So what does freedom mean for you?" And we started to bring in some visualization so that she could live with those visualizations and give herself that experience here and now. And the mind that says that the part that wants freedom, yes, it's true, it's our soul. And then there's this other part, this ego part that fucking doesn't want it at all. Because why? Think about this. And I had an actual experience, and I've shared this when I did that session of pure DMT and I died. Because what does it mean? I didn't die in the body. My body stayed there, but my consciousness left my body, separated. That's how I know I like being in a body. I had that experience. But when I went out, I was like fucking terrified. My ego self was like, oh my God, I'm going to get annihilated. What does that mean? Because there's no body to blow up. Oh, it means that the I won't exist. So even spiritual people are in the Maya, the illusion, by chasing the thing, by seeking and seeking, because the seeking is reinforcing the I. And there's nothing wrong with seeking. So you can't play the game of, okay, then I won't seek, because then you're still in duality. And I'm going to show you a way out. And on our session, our community session after this for the Evolving Sisters Network members, we're going to work with this. This is going to be epic. So follow me here, because this is important to really understand the insidiousness of victimization and what do we do with it. So there's a huge payoff that we are receiving to not being free, to saying that we want freedom and not being free. There's a huge payoff to that. And that's called existence. I get to exist when I have suffering, when I have problems, when I'm a seeker, right? There's a me there. And I think that we don't really understand, because we've never had the experience in 3D, and most of us don't remember that. And Richard Rudd's bringing this through, and I appreciate that, because we don't have this memory. He's saying that when we ascend, we're still going to have our individuality, because that's the template of this 3D. And this is why it's important for us to ascend in a body, is if we're not ascending in a body, there's no template. So this template of consciousness, so that makes us particular and different. And that's how we play instruments inside of a symphony, right? Like if we were just oneness with no instruments, we'd be playing a song with no instruments. We would be the song. There wouldn't be anything separate called a song even, right? So we're really working in that area of Pisces, the world of the unmanifest, the world of the formless and the nameless. And we're using language to create distinctions so that we can align with something. I'm not saying it's all real. I'm saying we're creating distinctions in language so that we can understand something about our awakening process and the map. And so this map is called victimization, and we can spot it in other people when it's really obvious, when they're a low frequency, and I'm sitting with this person and they're just blaming, they're going through a litany of blaming other people about their particular circumstance. And the reason why that person's having that circumstance is solely from their own behavior. Isn't that interesting? And still there's blame. Oh, I did this because of you. So we can spot that. That's like fairly black and white. But it's the more insidious ways as we as we grow spiritually and mature spiritually. And I know this because I've been witnessing it in myself, that there's an insidious way that we still maintain victim consciousness. And the Gene Keys teaches that the repressive nature of it is complaining. How many of us complain? And the reactive nature is blaming. And that's really got a deep anger in it. And if you have that, fucking great. Like, yes, it's time to like go there and excavate that. Let it out. Look at it. Because of course we know inside of this work that you cannot transform anything that you can't see. And it's not about fixing it. And here's the reason why some of you keep thinking this idea of, I thought I already did the work. Okay, because you're trying to fix something. This cannot be fixed. It would be a waste of time to fix it. You don't need to fix it. You need to acknowledge it. You need to see that it's there. And the no loss of power happens when you're not judging yourself for it. When you're simply saying, there it is. And you even laugh. Like, I mean, it is funny how we're programmed inside the matrix. It's so predictable. So I've been witnessing in myself just the undercurrents in my breath, under my breath, in the thoughts that are so subtle complaints. That is so easy for me to get into a complaint, especially I have a channel of perfection. So I'm always seeing what's not perfect. Anybody else have that? Janine says that's her word for 2023, freedom. All right, this is your teaching. Oh, Deanna, you joined yesterday. Awesome. Oh, she feels home. I love that. All right, so let's excavate this a little bit more because we get to play with this in our community call afterwards. And that's just the subtle ways that victimization shows up. So instead of feeling like you're going to fix it or you need to fix it, there's a way that we can recognize that that's what we're running. We can eventually laugh and smile at the program, and then we get to step into a new reality, step into something new. And that's something new, as all the cities know in the Gene Keys, this SIDDHI, all the cities know is that place of enlightenment is the place of empty space. It is the place of no thing. So over here, there's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of judgments, thoughts. I can't do that. There's no way I could do this. Do you see how victim consciousness is hidden in those thoughts? If you have something that's out in your life, like let's say you're not making the money you want, or let's say your relationships are not a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, there's some place I want to invite you to look, and there's some place that there's probably a victim consciousness thought, a victim pattern, a victim idea. And you kind of have to, like, when you're on this spiritual map, on this road, it's not black and white. It's subtle because you've gotten good at it. Your ego has gotten really good. My ego has gotten super good, right? It's gotten trained. Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't do that, but we're going to do it like this over here. So the only way I can tell is feedback from the outside. And that doesn't mean it's judgment from the outside. It means it's feedback from the outside. So how can I hold that so lovingly and get super curious, super compassionate, especially this Pisces that and Venus, who's here on the scene with us, she's giving us way more access to love and compassion and forgiveness. And first, let's apply that to ourselves, because you know that if you haven't looked at your trauma, it's really hard to be in relationship, isn't it? If you haven't forgiven yourself, it's really hard to forgive someone else, isn't it? So that's why gene key 55 is paired with 59, because the first step of our awakening is outside of us. It's the step of relating. It's being with others. It's being intimate. It's allowing people to see my insides. And that means that I've seen my insides. And so it goes back to doing the work of being willing to look at what's there. So, I'm in the middle of some very big pivots, and I can hear like that's not possible. So then my autopilot wants to come on, because my autopilot knows how to solve problems in one specific way, right? It just does this thing every time. And that's the matrix, right? I see a problem. I don't think I can do it. Then autopilot comes in and says, here's how we do it. And we do it the same time, same thing every way. And I get the same results all the time. And I'm realizing, why am I still dealing with this? Because I'm inside the matrix, caught in a pattern. That's all it is. It's caught in a pattern. I'm not good. I'm not bad. I'm just caught in a pattern. And the only way I get outside of that pattern is if I catch the original thought. Like, I just said that I can't have that. What are you talking about? I live in infinite reality. Like, if some people are experiencing it, it should even give you a clue that it's able to be experienced. And then we're going to go even beyond that maybe there's things that no one has experienced that we're going to be able to experience in this future that we're creating right now. But just to play the game with your mind, because your mind sees that something's possible over there, but it's not happening over here. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's money, maybe it's your Dharma. So this is an opportunity for us to look at what are we saying to ourselves? I can't do that. I can't have that. We're capping our freedom from our victim consciousness. And so my task for myself is I'm pivoting into new things, wanting this expansion, and at the same time doing my old mechanism. I catch myself saying the thing that I've been saying. So then what do I do? And we're going to deal with this, and we're going to go into our community call and work with this even more. But then I step out of that. I realize, I'm like a hamster on a wheel. I'm just doing the thing. I'm doing the autopilot thing. And now I get to be an interruption to that thing. And that's why I create like meditations, or if you've been through The World is Your Oyster, like soul symbols, mantras, those are interruptions. They're to the drift. Because autopilot is a drift. It has a currency, like a current, like it just flows. And if you go on that current, you're still saying the same stuff to yourself about your business, why it hasn't been successful, because you've been back here doing something. I don't know, waiting for others, not taking massive action, not thinking you matter. It doesn't matter anyway. It'll be what it is, using spirituality against yourself, right? And I'm not saying that that's not right. I'm saying that we play games with ourselves. We justify. We rationalize. We rationalize our performance. We rationalize the feedback. And 55 is saying, guess what? You got to wake up to that. And when you wake up to that, you're going to be able to step into true freedom. True freedom is the ability to create from nothing, from the zero space. From just what? From your stand, from who you say you are. That's it. You declare, this is who I am, and this is who I say I am. Like, let's say I say, I am love. I am a force for love. I am a force for miracles. I'm a stand. I'm a stand for transformation. Who I am causes and creates that. That's a stand I take. And then there's all this other stuff going on in my mind. And I was going to say, and it really doesn't matter what's going on in my mind, because there's going to be stuff going on in my mind. Even when I come on here to do a live stream, there's stuff going on in my mind. If I followed that, I may not do a live stream. If I follow that, I may quit. But then over here, I have my stand and who I declare myself to be. And so I step inside of that. When I was teaching Kundalini yoga, we have this Kundalini, I don't know what they call it, but it's like a prayer, but I call it a stand. So we would say before class, like, I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I'm not myself, I'm not my personality, I'm a teacher. So in a way, that's the same thing. It's a stand. It's saying that when I sit on this bolster in front of class, I am not any of those things. I'm a teacher, and that means the transmissions get to come through me, not as me. And that was a great relief to me, being a teacher, especially a young or newer teacher, because I was terrified of being in front of people or why are we terrified? Because we're terrified of being judged. We're terrified of looking bad. It's all ego driven. It's all survival driven, because inside of the matrix, if I look bad and if I mess up, I'll be outcast from the tribe. And when I'm outcast from the tribe, I won't be able to eat. I won't be able to make money. I won't get love, right? So it's very deeply linked to our survival. And 55 is just like, yeah, we get that. And we're ascending out of it. And it's going to be like a bumpy, like, ride as we get out. And we're the ones doing it. We're the ones who said, yep, sign me the fuck up. I'm going to do it. God has blessed us, right? Because there's something really badass about us, something very fiery about us. We have indomitable spirits. All of you listening, your spirit is indomitable. You are epic. You are built for this. You are the space in which this evolutionary energy pours through. I want you to know that. That's the truth. And you're already doing your work. And now you get to do another cut, because Saturn is on the mix. Saturn is going into Pisces very, very soon. So Saturn's just like waiting in that liminal space and saying, all right, game on. We're going to grow up. We're going to take it up a notch. Yeah, you thought you did the work, whatever. Next cut of the work. And by now, you don't care if it feels comfortable. By now, you don't care if, yesterday I felt like crap and I started to care. I started to make up a story that something was wrong. And then I caught myself making up a story and caring. And then I interrupted that and I went and laid on the grass. And it was like, oh yeah. I had like a raging headache. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, this is all I need to be doing in this moment. And then I woke up feeling much, much different, and so there's a way that when I catch myself making a problem out of something that isn't a problem and just staying the course, doing what I need to do to take care of myself, listening to the feedback. Oh, okay, lay on Mother Earth. She's going to take care of you right now. Receive the codes. Sometimes I have to get taken down because they want to give me codes and I'm too busy. So I get to get taken down, lay down. And I had just had coffee, and that's the thing that really did it. So it doesn't matter. It's not linear. It's not logical. It's just what's happening. Align with that. Because truly, what wants to come through you As in, the next evolutionary step is epic, and it's going to take something. We get to lean into this. It's happening, and we're the cause and creator, the co-creator. So it's like that paradox of wei wu wei, action without action. So what does that even mean? That's what we're experiencing. We're actors in it. We matter in it. And there's a force that's with us, that's greater than us, carrying us. All right. The shift is hitting the fan, Katie. I love that. The victim of your own perfectionism. Yeah, great. Sneaky complaining and blaming. That's right. It's super sneaky. I love it. It's the dragonfly's dream. Yes, exactly. That's right. The green comet. I know. I was just listening to this awakening of this transmission around the green comet. That one blew my mind. That was about the kundalini of the earth awakening and the comet signaling it's time. It's time. Yeah, I love it, CJ. Thanks for bringing that in. It's exhausting, important work. Yeah. And maybe not so exhausting if we stop resisting. That's really what I got yesterday. And, the resistance is what's so exhausting. When I align with it, let's just breathe into it right now. Let's just even take a deep breath and exhale. Just feeling all the ways that you're held already. Yeah, that it is going to take something here. It's going to take spiritual muscle. It's going to take grit. But I suspect that if you're listening to this now, you've been preparing, right? Like some of us have been on this journey for a couple decades. Even if you've just been on for a couple years, that quantum muscle is building. Things are going very quickly. And so your assignment this week, as you're in this Piscean activation, is to seed the frequency in your beingness, in your 3D reality, in this body, seed the frequency of this evolutionary trajectory. Like, who are you becoming? Imagine yourself. Play around with that future version of you. There's a lot more spiritual power that we have access to. Well, that we haven't had access to, that we will have access to. The thing about it is when we're in complaining and when we're in blaming, we just cut ourselves off from the access to the spiritual power. Do you get that? Like, I really get that. And the stakes they're not negotiable to me. Like I know who I am. So life gets to mirror that back to me. And it's going to take something. It's going to take the next cut of seeing where we've been playing small. And the small isn't a judgment. The small is a call to action for the ways that we've held ourselves back with, I can't. I'm so busy. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so this. I'm so that, as if the world is doing it to you. So now when I sit in the seat of my sovereignty, I get to make choices that are different. If I am exhausted, I get to make choices that are different. If I am overwhelmed, I get to make choices that are different. So stop pretending like you didn't make the choice to get you where you are, right? Like, that's the game we're playing. And risk the annihilation of the confirmation of your existence and allow the Pisces new moon to support you in seeing the oneness. The particularity of you in the oneness of the symphony of the song that we're playing. The music we are embodying and singing through our very existence. So I'm going to end here. So we have 15 minutes before our next call, our community call. Thank you for joining. Let's activate ourselves into this new moon on this community call. If you're inside the Evolving Sisters Network, I want to let you know that we'll have an astrologer come. I think Rosanna is our resident astrologer, and she's going to give us a energy and astrological forecast coming up. I think it's this weekend. So just note that in the calendar in the Evolving Sisters Network portal. And then she's also going to do that. This will be for March, and then she's going to do another one for April. So you can download the calendar invites, get them on your calendar so you have the Zoom link at your disposal. And then I also did, if you haven't caught this, if you're a member inside of the portal, is the introduction to the gene keys. So that was a 1-hour class that I gave live that's now in the back end in the replay that you can listen to, just how I approach the gene keys so that you can be on these calls in a way that supports you if you know nothing about the gene keys, or if you just want to hear how I use them. All right, sisters, Jeannie said, so true. We make the choice. And when we do not see the result, we pull the blame on someone else. Yeah, right. Or the circumstances. It was just because, it was cold out. I don't know, right? We're so clever. We're so amazing. And really, the truth is that so much more amazingness is on the other side of us really sitting in the seat of our sovereignty. Thank you for being here, my loves. And I will see you next Sunday. And I'll see some of you in 15 minutes. Okay. Bye. Happy new moon.